Welcome to the Usborne Experience with Heidi. Today we're going to go over some fantastic choices that Usborne has for your kids who are obsessed with the weather. Climate suddenly changed. Need to put it up. Usborne has an amazing selection of books for kids as small as 2 years old to as old as me. For anyone who's interested in learning more about the weather. It's no secret that people are mesmerized with the weather. There's a whole channel for it. So getting your kids excited about the weather at an early age is an awesome educational opportunity. The first choice that we have, I think, is one of our hidden gems. This is a 4-pack of nonfiction books about the weather that comes across as just really fun picture books. But this is actually a first picture book about science. We have sunny day, the windy day, the rainy day, and the snowy day. And what you'll see inside each of these books are beautiful illustrations that teach your littlest ones, toddlers, preschoolers, kindergartners, all the way into early elementary about the weather. It talks about the clouds high in the air where raindrops freeze that make icy snowflakes. And it reads like a great story, but what kids don't realize is that they're learning science along the way. And this is my favorite. It even talks about where fish go in the very cold weather. The surface of the pond has frozen to a sheet of gleaming ice. You might wonder if the fish are frozen too, but they aren't. They're swimming safely in the chilly water below. And buried in the mud at the bottom of the pond, 2 frogs are sleeping the winter away. Rainy day is all about what makes it rain. Have you ever wondered what clouds are made of? And it talks about the water drops in clouds and how the water drops grow bigger and bigger and bigger until finally they are so big and so heavy they fall right out of the sky and it starts to rain. Look at how fun. Look at the snails and the frogs. Plants like the rain too. Rain trickles into the soil. Thirsty plants suck it up through their roots. So we're learning some biology and environmental science. Did you know that rabbits' dens are called warrens? I didn't know that until I read it in an Usborne flat book. This one even gets into Roy G. Biv and the colors of the rainbow. Such a great book. We have the windy day in this selection. Look at, and this has different illustrations and even different fonts. I love this one that shows the twirly whirlies of the sycamore tree. And it even talks about how wind can provide energy. It's awesome. And here's sunny day. Oh, so pretty. Gosh, look at how beautiful. And it talks about how the sunflowers turn to face the sun. It talks about flowers opening their petals and bees. Very important to learn about bees. We also just got a new Lift the Flat book about why bees are so important. What a great book and what a great little picture book set to get your kids interested in the science of weather. Then we have our beginner series. These are $4.99 each and they're great for preschoolers and above. We have everything from storms and hurricanes to a whole book about weather, and this is Planet Earth that talks about different types of weather. These books read like a textbook with a table of contents. Look at that. What is weather? Water on the Move, it talks about the water cycle or the hydrologic cycle. It talks about clouds, great balls of ice and hail. And look at that actual photograph of a piece of hail. This is the biggest hailstone ever. It fell in Nebraska, USA in 2003. Such a great nonfiction. Wild winds, terrible twisters. So these books are beautiful, and we have so many of these. Another great one is the Usborne Lift the Flap first questions and answers. This is all about the science of weather in a flap book. So what makes it rain? What's it like inside of a cloud? How big is a raindrop? Up to this big, it shows you the actual size. This size is more usual. Look how tiny it is. Then it talks about when rainbows appear. Again, it's got your Roy G. Biv. How can I make a rainbow? It tells them how to use a water hose to make a rainbow. I like that little fox guy right there. Then we talk about how hot the sun is. And look at all these amazing flaps. Is the sun really a star? What makes sunsets orange and red? So we get into the science of the Tyndall effect, although we don't really call it the Tyndall effect in this level of a book. Why does lightning flash and thunder rumble? Why is thunder so loud? And other questions like, is lightning dangerous? Yes, it can be. Where does wind come from? And there's even finger trails in here to make this book even more sensory than it already is. Are waves bigger on windy days? Look how fun that flap is. Look at the cow. Look at the tornado. What is a tornado? Talks all about the science of a tornado. And then, why does it snow? What's snow made of? And it's got these beautiful cutouts in the flaps as well. How do snowflakes get their shapes? They start as an ice crystal with 6 sides. The crystal grows 6 arms. Then other crystals join on and make amazing shapes. Awesome. Love, love, love this book. And then a flap book for some older students who love weather and climate. This is the See Inside Weather and Climate. This is one of my favorite Usborne books of all time, and I don't think it gets the kudos that it deserves. So I love this because even for an adult, right here, it explains how to read a weather map for those of us that didn't know. It says, try predicting the weather yourself. Here are some signs you can look for. There's all these really fun interactive flaps down here, like cows lying down, red sky in the morning, red sky at night, the higher the clouds, and ring around the moon, and what they mean in terms of predicting the weather. Where does weather come from? And it goes over things such as temperatures in the lower stratosphere are very cold. They fall as low as -85 degrees Celsius, and it tells you Celsius as well as Fahrenheit. As the overall world temperature increases, the weather is becoming more extreme, from storms and floods to scorching heat and droughts. It also goes over the hydrologic cycle, or the water cycle here. And again, they're learning science in an interactive and fun way. Look at this. It shows you all of the levels of the atmosphere. Couldn't think of the word for atmosphere. So it goes over all those different levels, and I'm sure at some point in their education, they're going to need to know those. I remember doing a whole book report on clouds. This would have been really helpful. This book goes over world climates. It talks about the climate at the equator. Oh my gosh, look at how awesome the climate in each one of these countries and these continents, and if it's warm, and what kind of fruit can grow in that area. Oh my gosh. Water in the clouds, so it goes even more into the hydrologic cycle, and your student can learn all about it here. So much more fun than a normal textbook. The sun and the air. The amount of sunshine we get changes through the year as the earth moves around the sun. Look at that, I like that a lot. And again, it talks about a weather map and what it means when there are highs, and what it means when there are lows, and when it's going to be great weather and when it's going to be not so great weather. It talks about winds. Look at that. So educational. Here it talks about the Beaufort scale and how to read it. And then finally, we get into icy extremes. And again, there are just so many flaps on each page. Scientists go to Antarctica to study the changes in our climate and weather. They live and work in research stations. It talks about the research stations, and it talks about the scientists, and it talks about the animals and the polar ice caps, and massive storms that develop and how they develop. And then it talks about changing climates. Is an index of weather words or a glossary. And this also has our awesome internet links where you can get more information. And finally, for our oldest student, we have the Usborne Weather and Climate Change Reference Book, also with internet links. This book has beautiful photography. It goes over how to get into those internet links. This goes over everything from local climates, climate zones, greenhouse gases, air masses and fronts, studying the weather, people and their needs. Look at those visuals. Again, it's not totally filled with paragraphs of information. It's small snippets of information to keep interest. Look how pretty. Varied climates. It talks about the science of the sun. And on each page, there's a small box that tells you where to go for internet links on whatever you just read about on that page. It goes over water and oceans and climate. And you'll also see throughout this book, there's little see for yourself activities that your student and you together can do. This one is to see for yourself how you can create a miniature rainbow. I love this. It talks about extreme weather, and it talks about negative and positive charges and how it creates lightning. And it even goes into how to forecast the weather and some of the different instruments that weather forecasters use. There's even a page on disagreements in climate change. In the back of the book, there are tables on climate data, from highest average annual rainfalls to greatest observed rainfalls, the Beaufort scale and weather symbols, to little snippets of did you know and weather discoveries. There's even a test in the back to test yourself to see what you've learned. And for $10.99, this is a piece of education that I think should be in everyone's home. As you can see, I own all of these books. I love them. They're going to be such amazing books for my kids as they grow up and say to me,
Mom, why does this happen? Mom, where does hail come from? Mom.
And I could say, go grab one of your Usborne weather books and we'll look at it together. I love to learn about the weather myself, and I love when my kids want to learn as well. These books can be used as homework helpers. They can be used for snuggle time at night to learn together. They can be used anywhere. Thanks for watching. This is Heidi with the Usborne Experience. You can find me at www.theusborneexperience.com or the Usborne Experience with Heidi on Facebook. Thanks. How many W's? All the way into early end. For kids as small as 2-year-old, I can't talk during these videos. I'm telling you, these videos are very aerobic. No, they're not. Who am I kidding? And it's got some real, it's got some, and it talks about weather throughout the ages. Ages? Oh my God. Whew, those Beachbody workouts are taking their toll. I don't know what the Beaufort scale is. The wind strength can be described using the Beaufort scale. Am I saying that right? It was devised in 1805 by Francis Beaufort of the British Navy. They start as an ice crystal with 3 sides. Nope. The number 6 is not the number 3.